Hello, and welcome back to Factorio. I'm Dorthek, and this is episode 10 of our Factorio 0.17 tutorial playthrough series. In the first episode, I mentioned that we were playing on the stable version of Factorio 0.17.69, but that I might switch to the experimental version, and I would let you know. Well, it's that time. The stable version is still 0.17.69. The experimental version has now been advanced to 0.71. My Steam is set to automatically update to the latest experimental version, as I showed in the first episode, and today it updated us to 0.71. When it does so, it shows you this changelog and tells you what has happened. Now, there's a lot of bug fixes, which are important if you happen to be running into one of those bugs, but I was not, so I kind of ignore it. The interesting thing here are the features and graphics and changes. So, the new features I'm not quite sure about because I'm just seeing them. I'm not sure what the story here is about changing the number of shortcut bar rows that are visible. I thought we already had that for toolbars. This may be something different. The ability to shift-click a research in the text screen to start that research is nice, but not really relevant to us. The reason I wanted the update is this one right here. Allows setting filters with a ghost cursor. If this is what I think it is, it sounds very interesting for a little bit later in the game. They've also added some new graphics and changed some biter and splitter behavior. We'll see how that plays out. Now, of course, this came out on October 15th, and the very next day, October 16th, which is when I'm recording this episode, they came out with a bug fix because there was a problem. That's life in the experimental branch. However, I will say that I played this a little bit yesterday on 0.70. I didn't have any problems, so I just happened to not run into those bugs. I was not playing on multiplayer, and I was not apparently loading saves from certain previous versions. So I continue to play. I don't think anything we're doing here is going to significantly change from the stable version, but I wanted to let you know. So I'm going to hit confirm and accept what we're doing. So in the last episode, we had started building our mall. And between episodes, I went out and beefed up our defenses. I put down a bunch of these little pillboxes with guns on the right side, and I put a few more down on the left and up here. That should help us a little bit, but it won't hold the biters for very long, so we are definitely going to need to work on better defenses fairly soon. And mining productivity finished, so we should work on something else. We'll grab stack inserters because they lead to a couple of techs that are useful to us. The stack inserters themselves are not. Stack inserters are kind of like high capacity inserters, which is very nice. We're going to use them a lot, but we can't build them yet. Now, the other thing I realized is we need to increase our smelting soon. Oh, looks like I cut power somewhere here. Oh, just now. I took out a power pole right here. So we're going to need to increase our smelting and mining capabilities, and I've realized that we're not actually making smelters anywhere. We used to, and then we took it down. So we're going to recreate our little mining setup right here. To make stone smelters, and we'll come back when it's in a bit and it'll have more for us. Now, if we look at our bus, you can see that the iron gears are really suffering. The iron plates are really suffering. We're getting very, very little in because it's being split three ways. It's going into the gear maker, it's going into the green circuits down here, and it's going to our main bus. We also really need some radars placed out here. Now, part of the problem, of course, is that we're only running like a third of an array, but we're only running a third of an array because we can't really feed a full array. It takes 30 miners before mining productivity to fill a single belt, and we have right now 36, but it's split two ways. Some of it is going to the old base, some to the new. Let's grab inserter capacity bonus. This doesn't help us right now because it only affects stack inserter capacity, but the next one will. So let's build some more mining. Now, one problem we're going to run into over here is that this miner, if you look over on the right, will pick up both iron and copper ore. That's just something we're going to have to deal with. And we need more miners. I thought I'd grab some, but let me run over to our jump-off base and grab some. It looks like some belts over here had been damaged by the biters at some point, so let's fix that up. Now you'll notice I'm not powering these up yet because I don't want copper ore on this bus. What we're going to do instead is we're going to put a splitter right here. Oh. And we're going to tell it to output to the left copper ore. Then we're going to use the F key to clear that. And we're going to take this copper ore belt over to our copper belt, and we're going to set input priority to be from here. Because if we have a backup in copper, we don't want it to cause a backup in iron. Now we can hook up these miners, and we'll see it spits out some copper, and that copper will go to the other belt, and that's fine. We're off somehow. Whatever, doesn't really matter. It'll get covered by these miners in between. And let's do another column. And of course we need to leave a space for a power pole. Otherwise that won't work. Okay, so we have 4 belts, not of unequal size coming out. And that brings up something that we have not yet had a chance to discuss, which is balancing. So let's... nope, I don't want that one. Let's bring out this belt here. Now we can grab inserter capacity bonus 2, which not only improves stack inserters, it improves other regular inserters. So that instead of picking up 1 item at a time, they will pick up 2, which will be very nice. So let's take apart all this for a moment. And yes, this means we are cutting production to our arrays, but to our smelting, but so be it. I want to line all this up. Let's move this pole over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a balancer. So we have 4 lanes of copper coming in, of iron ore coming in, but they're uneven lanes. And we have multiple lanes coming out, and they will have uneven draw out of those lanes. Enter balancers. You can build balancers yourself. In fact, if you have 2 lanes in and 2 lanes out, all you need for a balancer is one of these. It'll be a balancer. However, once you get into more lanes, you start running into issues of how do you divide things well, and how do you make sure they're really drawing well. I never remember how to build the balancers, even the basic 4x4 ones. So I have these books from Bilka. Bilka is one of the developers, but he also designed a set of blueprints. And Bilka's belt balancers, I'll include the link in the show notes. and we can just pick any combination we want. We want a 1 to 3, or a 1 to 5, or a 4 to 2. Well, we're going to take a 4 to 4. One of the nice things about the 4 to 4 balancer is that it is throughput unlimited, which means if you don't feed it the right, if you don't feed it 4 full belts, you're still gonna get out whatever you put in. Some of the other ones, especially some of the ones that have odd numbers or prime numbers in them, are throughput limited, meaning that unless you have completely full inputs, the outputs won't get everything they can get, and that's bad. All right, so we're gonna take this one, and we're gonna take this one. We can move these belts here. And this will go into our existing belt. And this will bring down a second belt, which we will use in a little bit for steel production. Okay. All right, we'll just leave it here for the moment. Now, as we said, it takes 30 miners to saturate a belt. If we look, we now have 68 miners, and that's before we add in mining productivity. That's before we add in mining productivity. Oh, and we missed a little bit of belt, so one of our miners is not hooked up. That's okay. There. Which means we can certainly feed this whole array. So let's connect the rest of the array, and that'll get us a lot more iron plates. While we're up here, we're not gonna do a complete overhaul on copper, but we can add at least a few more miners to get at least a little bit more copper throughput, because well, it's not as critical right now as iron is. It still needs to be done, and these are just going to have to output directly onto this belt here, and that'll do. And we can do a little bit more. And none of these are near the iron, so we don't have to worry too much about that. Let's get some power in here. And we will not do the whole balancer thing. We will just bring this belt in and merge it, because really we don't have that much material going in yet. All right. Let's pick up a stack of these. And we need a second stack. And what did we do with the car? It's up there. As usual, the car got left behind. All right. Let's head back down. So, that was bad. Let's head on over here. And I want to put down some radars. So if we pick up the radar and look in the minimap, we can see it shows us a blue square for where the radar should go to get us overlapping. And like here, we would no longer be fully overlapping. Over here we would, but I don't want to take it that far out. So I am going to put it, for the moment, right here. And we've got to run power to it. And now we can see what's going on this side of the world. And we're going to want to put another one down by the gear, or by the green circuit array, so that we can see what's going on down there. And again, we probably should put it a lot further away, but I don't want to run things that far out. So I will just put it right here for the moment. And now we have some coverage of our whole base. Yay. Okay. Do we have... how's this thing going? Do we have 50 yet? We do. Good. Let's go grab that, because we want about 100 of them for the next thing we're going to do. Up. Cliffs. All right. So the next thing we want to do is make some steel for our bus. And as we said before, these mining columns are interchangeable. The same column will make... oh, we're getting some iron in here. That's really bad. I must have missed some place where there is overlap. That one right there. That's bad. Let's go fix that. So, as I said, those columns are interchangeable. And which means we can pretty easily just take... are we getting any copper on here yet? No. My concern is that it can clog things up. So let's cut power here. They're all making iron. Oh, no, it's on the copper belt that the problem is. We're fine on the iron belt. Yeah, so let's cut the input. We'll clear out whatever little bit of iron has gotten in. And now we got to check these gear makers to make sure, these furnaces. The ones that are showing copper plates are fine, but the rest are... these two, I wanted to verify that no iron got in here. Let's stick this iron in there. Let's stick this copper in here. And then we're going to go up the line and look for stray iron on this line. I'm fortunately not seeing any. Some might have gone up there. Let's fix these while we're here. Problem is right here. This machine has some iron. So we're going to solve this problem in exactly the same way we did before, but we're going to allow for a little bit more space. So we're going to take this line up here rather than over to there. We're going to... we might as well build a few more of these. Yep, these are all mixed production. Oh, this one's not mixed production, so we don't need to, and we're also out of them. That's fine. So what we're going to do up here is we're going to put a splitter. We're going to say output priority left for... actually, I take that back. We're going to put it here. We're going to say output priority right for copper ore, for iron ore. And this line, we're going to take and feed back into here somehow. We're being damaged somewhere. Oh, a biter got around the corner. Let's go deal with him. We have the wrong ammo in our guns, but that's okay. And I probably should have dropped the car and driven, but he's attacking us now, and I want to get over there, and honestly, it's probably faster to do that. He's wrecked these two. He's wrecked a power pole. And he's wrecked some inserters. Not that this is particularly important, but It is what it is. So let's put down a couple more gun turrets here to kind of close off this area. I'm just leaving them with 20-something magazines. All right. None of the other stuff we can research right now is actually useful to us, so let's just research something. And again, this is very common to have. We can feed the copper into here. To have research well ahead of what we're actually able to make. I'm just looking at the copper line to make sure there's no bits of iron ore on it. Okay, there's not. So, once we're past here, actually, alright, this is all temporary, right? We said so. Okay, well, unfortunately, we're going to need to move this whole thing. Get our 4x4 design again. And put it there. Okay. Because this allows us to take this line, tuck it in like so, and just insert it here. And again, we're going to say input priority from the left, because we don't want this causing that to get stuck. Now, there's no currently iron on the line. That's okay. What little there is will come into there. And it looks like we have an unpowered mining drill. Ah. Okay, now we can reconnect that. And this is coming back in. Great. Alright, where were we? Did we get 100? We did. Let's stick this in here. And this in here. Modules are a long, long way in the future. Nothing we need to deal with right now. Alright, so as we said, those arrays up there are interchangeable. The same array will make copper plates, iron plates, and even stone bricks. Steel arrays, unfortunately, are not. Steel arrays require you to a different design, so I'm going to put them on the bottom of the bus. And they're going to go like on this, somewhere on this line, and somewhere on this line there. And that's, I'm just lining up where I want them. That's going to be our first array. So, more technology, lift explosives. The basic formula is still the same. It takes 48 stone furnaces to consume a complete belt of iron. However, we have to smelt it twice. So we're going to run 24, just like we did before. That's 20, so 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, is that correct? Okay, and this part of it is going to be exactly the same as we did before. We're going to run a line of this way. We are going to have an inserter over here. And this will be a mixed belt of copper and iron ore and coal, just like we had before. But if you recall from before, steel is made by smelting iron plates. Now here's the important thing. Iron plates take 1 iron ore and take 3.2 seconds to smelt. Steel takes 5 iron plates and takes 16 seconds to smelt. Now, as it happens, that's exactly 5 times as slow as the iron, which means if we take another smelter, put it here, like this, in the time that it takes this smelter to make 1 steel plate, this smelter will make exactly 5 iron plates, perfectly feeding it. So we're going to run a column of them like this, and then more of these guys. Now, the problem is these will get their coal from over here. Where do these get their coal? Well, now we have to get fancy. So we are going to run this belt as a coal-only belt. And feed them coal from here. Well, that's nice. Well, that's nice. We've got coal and we've got iron. Where do we put it? Well, this is the trick to this array. We're going to run a second line right here, and this is going to be our output line. And we're going to use red inserters, which we need more of. And we're going to use red inserters to place our output onto that belt. And now we have to fill every one of these gaps with a red inserter, except we're out. So let me go grab some red inserters. So, now that I've gotten some more of these guys, now they all have a way to get the output out. What about the other side? Well, we do the same thing in kind of mirror image. The mirror image is that this is still our output belt, so we're going to output to it. And we're out of regular inserters, but that's okay. And then we're going to use the long-handed inserter to instead pick up from this belt and fill the coal into this machine. Now, long-handed inserters are great because they can reach further. The problem with them is that they are slow. They're the same speed as a regular yellow inserter, and there is no way to make them faster except for that inserter capacity upgrade. But on the plus side, they're rarely needed. Most of the time, you can do things by just using regular inserters. All right. Now we need to fill in all of these inserters, and I think I will do that between episodes. So we've accomplished a fair amount in this episode. We have started on our steel smelting array. We've drastically increased our steel production, and we've slightly increased our copper production. And that will allow us to build more things on in our mall. And especially in the next episode, we're going to focus on some of these power poles because we're going to need them. In the meanwhile, go ahead, try one of these yourself. And as always, don't forget to save. Also, if you're enjoying this, you may want